It's the 1st of August, and Celtic are heading into the new season with a huge transfer crisis building. Arne Engels looks set to leave for West Ham. Everton have now made their move for Alistair Johnston, with the manager personally ringing Martin O'Neill, and Chris Sutton is furious about both. On the brighter side, O'Neill has confirmed Celtic's very strong interest in a Serie A winger, and there is a young forward who could be about to have a massive season. Let's get into it. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Arne Engels looks increasingly likely to leave Celtic this summer, with West Ham United pushing hard to get a deal done before the transfer window closes. Sky Sports journalists Anthony Joseph and Chris Reedy broke the news that West Ham are in active discussions over a deal for the Belgian midfielder. Their report also confirmed that several Premier League clubs continue to monitor him closely, but West Ham appear to be leading the race at this stage. This is not new interest from England. Nottingham Forest submitted 3 bids in January, with the final offer reportedly reaching £25 million. Celtic knocked every one of them back during the title run-in and made clear he was not going anywhere, but that was then and this is now. The summer window is a different situation entirely. Engels has been exceptional for Celtic. Across 98 appearances, he has scored 17 goals and provided 21 assists. He arrived from Augsburg for £11 million in August 2024 and has grown into one of the most important players in the squad, particularly during the run-in that delivered the Premiership title last season. West Ham have reportedly already had a couple of bids rejected and have come back with an improved offer. Reports from Spain's Mateo Moreto have added weight to the claim that a deal is now close. Celtic are standing firm on their valuation, but the player is understood to be keen on the move. With 2 years left on his contract, Celtic are not under any immediate financial pressure to sell. But if the reports of personal terms being agreed are accurate, the situation is becoming harder to manage. Celtic head into the biggest domestic fixture of their season on Monday and will have to deal with this saga in the background. Now for the main story, as Everton have now made formal contact with Celtic over Alistair Johnston, with manager David Moyes personally calling Martin O'Neill to inform him that an approach was coming. Speaking ahead of Monday night's Premiership opener against Dundee, O'Neill revealed the conversation had already taken place. He said, "Everton have been in contact. I'm not sure whether there has been a bid in for that one. In fairness, David did call me last weekend to tell me that there would be contact, but I don't know how far that has progressed, or if it has at all." Johnston has 3 years remaining on his Celtic contract, running until 2029. O'Neill made clear that nothing currently on the table comes close to what Celtic would need to see before any conversation about a deal becomes realistic. Reports suggest it would take an offer somewhere between £15 and £20 million before Celtic would even begin to consider doing business. The timing makes this an incredibly difficult situation to manage. Celtic face Dundee on Monday night in the league opener and then have a Champions League qualifying playoff round approaching in August. Losing Johnston before that tie would be an enormous blow. He is not just a right back, he is a leader, an organiser, and one of the most energetic players in the squad when he is fit. O'Neill also acknowledged how quickly things can shift during a window when Premier League interest arrives. The club's position is firm for now. Whether it stays that way over the coming days depends on what Everton put on the table. In other news, Chris Sutton has reacted strongly to both the Engels and Johnston situations and has a clear message for everyone involved. Do not answer the phone. Writing in his Record Sport column published this morning, Sutton addressed the Engels story first. His verdict on a potential move to West Ham was blunt. He said, "No disrespect to the Hammers, as they are a big club. If Engels wants to go there right now, it would be a lack of ambition for me when they are in the Championship. I know West Ham will pay big money, but you can't go there with the assumption they will go straight back up to the Premier League. The Championship is a notoriously tough division to get out of, and Engels should be aiming his sights at the top tier and competing in Europe, not battling for promotion." On Johnston and Everton, Sutton was equally direct. He said that Celtic cannot afford to let him leave before the Champions League playoff, regardless of the money being discussed. He said, "The Premier League doesn't kick off until August 22. which is after the playoff first leg. Celtic shouldn't be answering the phone until after then, because how the heck would you replace someone like Johnston for the biggest game of the season? He's a massive player on the pitch and a leader in the dressing room. We saw last season when Celtic drafted in Julian Araujo from Bournemouth. That was a player who was on Premier League money and had played at a high level, but he was still short of the standards set by Johnston. Sutton also warned about the wider picture, noting that it already looks like Engels is heading out, which will leave Celtic lighter in midfield at a time when they should be adding quality. Losing Johnston on top of that before a Champions League qualifier would be a serious problem. In other news, Martin O'Neill has personally confirmed Celtic's interest in Frosinone winger Fairs Gedgemis, describing the club's pursuit as having very strong momentum behind it. Gedgemis is 23 years old and has just completed one of the best individual seasons in Serie B, finishing with 15 goals and 3 assists while playing a central role in Frosinone's return to Serie A. He was also part of Algeria's World Cup squad this summer, though his involvement at the tournament was limited. Celtic first tracked him in January, but a deal did not happen at that stage, with Frosinone pushing for promotion and unwilling to let one of their key players leave. The summer represents a proper opportunity to get something done. O'Neill said, "We have a very, very strong interest in him. I don't know how close we can get, but we are genuinely making really good progress." That is a significant statement from the manager. Celtic have been linked with several wide players throughout the summer, and progress on those fronts has been slow. Haissem Hassan is another name that has been discussed, but talks with his representatives are reported to have dragged on without resolution. Gedgemis now appears to be at the front of the queue. He is valued at around £8 million. That is not a small fee, but it reflects the level of the player Celtic are targeting and the season he just had. Lastly, with the new season kicking off on Monday against Dundee, there is one young Celtic player who deserves serious attention heading into the 2026-27 campaign, and that player is Callum Osmond. The 20-year-old striker arrived from Fulham last summer without a huge amount of fanfare, and the first part of his debut season was difficult. Opportunities were limited, he was finding his feet, and there were moments where the move looked like it might not work out. Then came the goal against Rangers in the League Cup semi-final, a moment that changed everything. And then, almost immediately, a serious injury that stopped his momentum dead in its tracks and kept him sidelined for months. Most young players would have struggled to recover from that psychologically. Osmond did not. When Martin O'Neill needed someone to step up on the final day against Hearts with the Premiership title on the line, he brought Osmond off the bench. The young forward set up Dyson Maeda and then scored himself deep into stoppage time to seal one of the most dramatic title wins Celtic supporters have seen in years. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.